And for the commodities market update, we have Victoria Mormon, now senior analyst, financial derivatives company. Great to have you on the show. Good morning.
Good morning, Ladi. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. So we see the federal government approved a 2.18 trillion supplementary budget for the 2023 fiscal year. And I see increased spending on defense, welfare packages, and all that. How do you see this impacting economic stability in Nigeria?
Thank you very much for your question, Ladi. So first and foremost, this supplementary budget is actually like a budget that is being, brought on to actually cover, the additional costs from the previous budget of 2023 that was released in December last year. But I would like you to know that this supplementary budget is actually, ought to have, come before the 2024 budget, which was released, as at last week or 2 weeks ago. And this is because there are quite a number of parameters or assumptions that have actually changed from the 2023 budget that was actually released as of last year. In terms of the increase in revenue, expenditure has spiked. We've seen reduction in fuel subsidy. We've also seen, exchange rate parameters also change. So as a result of all of these changes, we've seen that a supplementary budget was actually, needed. And then we saw the increase in, the amount for defense, including into the supplementary budget. So basically it's more spending. So this supplementary budget actually is 10% of last year's budget, and when put side by side with inflation rate, which is 25%, it means that the budget as of last year has actually increased, or the expenditure as of last year has actually increased by over 25%. So in terms of arrangement or order of release for this budget, like I said, the supplementary budget of 2023, which is for this year, because the year has not ended just yet, was supposed to come first before the 2024 budget, and even the medium-term expenditure framework for that covers 3 years is actually supposed to actually follow through. And then, but in terms of the goals for the budget, we've seen that the goals are actually clear. That is in the aspect of increasing revenue, moderating inflation, and also bringing about overall macroeconomic stability. But in terms of policy announcement, there is actually a lag between policy announcement and also the impact on the citizens.
All right, Victoria, we see the oil market was down big yesterday. We've seen a little bounce this morning. Also seeing the Naira down. I did think the Naira was beginning to strengthen. What's driving sentiment generally on that?
So basically, Naira, like every other commodity, is actually a price, and price is a function of demand. And in that case, we actually have the actual demand and speculative demand. And speculative demand are actually people that actually make or demand for the currency or take advantage of the currency to make gains. But we've seen quite a number of pressure on the currency, on the Naira, and that has driven the Naira to caused the Naira to actually depreciate to an all-time low as at last week. But later on, we've seen a slight appreciation of the Naira, and I would also attribute one of these reasons to false expectations. That is in terms of the $10 billion that the federal government actually announced. The federal government plans to securitize dividends for the NLNG, and that is expected to yield $7 billion. So because of this expectation, we saw people hold back, and the speculation reduced, and that helped the Naira. But in terms of the clarity of the sources of FX supply, there is still that gap, and that is actually, or that has actually caused the pressures in the market to actually return back, and we've seen that in the decline or the depreciation of the Naira. But one thing that I would like you to know as regards the dividends that is securitized and would amount to $7 billion is because there are also like questions, regarding how long this $7 billion would actually, control, the volatility in the currency market. And that is due to the fact that if you take a look at, the previous administration, in 8 years, the NLNG actually yielded about, $5.8 billion for 8 years. So if eventually we are, securitizing these dividends to get $7 billion, that is just to, take control of the just provide temporary solution to the Naira. And then there are concerns as to how these forex supplies would actually, be brought into the country in order to stabilize the Naira. And this concern is actually one of the things that people are looking out for, and this is actually, contributing to the falling Naira. And then we expect the volatility to continue in the exchange rate market, and this would, basically, continue to affect the commodities that are being imported into the country. If you take a look at the domestic commodities, you would see that commodities that are imported into the country, like sugar, wheat, they've recorded spikes, and that is due to the currency depreciation. And then we've also had the domestically produced commodities that are also, recording spikes due to, forex pressures and also, other inflationary pressures in the country.
All right, talk to me about the upcoming global central bank meetings now, especially the upcoming Bank of Japan meeting. We see the U.S. Federal Reserve and Bank of England. How are they going to play into the oil price movement?
So basically, oil prices are down, and that is because there are like expectations of, or people are actually, or investors are actually like, trading carefully ahead of the meetings that is coming up. For Fed meeting, we have the meeting coming up tomorrow, November 1. So would find out about the decision on whether there'll be a rate hike or a possible pause in, the interest rate, and that is, affecting the global market as it stands now. But do not forget that there are also other factors that are, contributing to the oil market, the oil prices, and that is the Israel-Hamas conflict that is, raising issues about a potential, supply shortage that could even drive the prices of Brent upwards. And then there is also, some countries that are going through weak macroeconomic, that have weak macroeconomic fundamentals, and that is actually, expected to weigh on their demand for oil. So we expect oil prices to be volatile in the near term, and this has an impact in the Nigerian economy, given the fact that we, oil is one of our major exports, commodity. We expect that if oil prices fall, it would affect our earnings, and if it rises, it would, boost our earnings.
All right, I guess volatility is what we should be expecting right now. Thank you so much, Victoria Momo, analyst, Financial Derivatives Company. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Ladin.